All right, when solving equations, we have three different possibilities. We could get an identity, we could end up with a contradiction, or we could end up with a conditional equation or a conditional solution. So how do I know when I have any of these? So let's start with an identity. If something's an identity, it means that it's always true. So if I'm solving an equation, let's say I have 2x plus 3 equals 2 times x plus 1, I don't know, plus 1, something like that. 2x plus 3 equals 2 times x plus 1 plus 1, and I'm going to solve this. So I have 2x plus 3 equals, I'm going to distribute, so 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1, 2x plus 3 equals 2x plus, these are like terms, so I'm just going to add them together, it's 2 plus 1, so I get 3. And now I'm going to get all the x's on one side, plain numbers on the other. So subtract 2x. Minus 2x is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. So on the left, I'm left with 0. Bring down my equal sign. 2x minus 2x is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. So I end up with 0 equals 0. Now, it doesn't tell me a whole lot, except that this is a true statement. Anytime we end up with a true statement, our variable canceled out or our letter canceled out, but we end up with something true, 0 equals 0, 5 equals 5, 15 equals 15, something along those lines, then we say that this is an identity. This equation is true for all values of x. I could plug in any number for x and it would be the same on both sides. So there we have an identity. So a contradiction is something that is never true. Now, how do I know? You can't see that. There we go. And a contradiction is something that is never true. So if I'm solving an equation, how do I know if I have a contradiction? So long story short, let's say we're solving an equation and we end up with something like 7 equals 5 at the end. Well, our variable canceled out and now I'm left with this. Is this true? Does 7 equal 5? No. The answer is no. This is not true. This is false. In this instance, since my final statement is false, then the original equation is a contradiction, meaning that there's no number I could plug in for the variable that would make it true. Right, so a contradiction, our equation is a contradiction if our final answer ends up being a false statement. Again, something like 7 equals 5 or 0 equals negative 3, something random like that, that's not true. We have a contradiction. So if I end up with a true statement, it's an identity. If I end up with a false statement, it's a contradiction. The last option we have is me actually getting a solution. So let's say I have x plus 4 equals 7. We're going to keep it simple, right? So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get x is equal to 3. Well, what does that mean? My original equation, x plus 4 equals 7, is true when x equals 3, right? So we put a condition on it. This equation is true. It's a good equation as long as x equals 3. If x equals 4, 4 plus 4 is 8. That's not equal to 7, right? So this would not be a true equation anymore. So we say that this is a conditional equation because it's only true when this happens. So when you're solving an equation and you get an answer like you're used to, just x equals 3 or y equals 5, whatever it may be, if you get an actual solution, that equation then is conditional because it's true only when the solution takes place, right? So identity, conditional equations, and contradictions.